All right. Hi, guys. This is Jocelyn Blanchard with Alaska House Hunting. I'm here today with Fred Lorian with Primerica, Alaska's #1 financial advisor, at least in my life. Hi, Fred. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks. Thank you.
Great, great. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, I came to Alaska in 1979. I put my life in about 4 cardboard boxes in the back of a pickup truck and drove up here in the middle of the winter. And at that time, I was a pharmacist. So I'm a Christian, a father of 3, a grandfather of 1. And so yeah, it was a great transformation to come to Alaska from northern Minnesota. And so yeah, so basically I help people make, save, and accumulate money for their retirement so they can become financially free and therefore worry less about money and enjoy life more.
Yeah, sounds great. And what professional credentials do you have?
Well, I'm a certified financial advisor and senior vice president with Primerica.
Okay. And how long have you been in the business?
Well, I started in 1985 in the industry. So amazing, 35 years, how time flies, you know?
Wow. Yeah, it's a huge accomplishment. And you've mentioned Primerica. Who or what is Primerica?
Well, Primerica is the largest and fastest growing financial services company in North America. As a matter of fact, we have now about 135,000 representatives nationwide. And we actually added 30,000 new ones last month.
Wow.
Yeah, our virtual business now is we've been doing Zoom presentations and electronic things over the computer for many, many years. And so this has kind of launched us really into the future. So we're doing really well. We've got 5 million clients. We've done all that without any advertising. And Forbes, as a matter of fact, just ranked us as one of the top 50 most trusted financial companies in America. So yeah, it's been great.
Wow, that's really impressive. Well, we have a lot going on in the world right now. And before this pandemic, many Americans were living paycheck to paycheck with an enormous amount of credit card debt and student loan debt. And as we are in uncertain times right now and people are still unemployed, do you think when things return to normal, that people will start preparing more for a crisis like this?
Well, I can guarantee you almost with 100% surety that they will not.
They will not.
Right.
And
And
why do you say that?
well, the reason I say that is just if you look at the evidence, we went through 2008, and that whole crisis. We went through the .gone era in 2000, 2001, and still consistently over time, the average, middle income American has gotten worse off financially.
Wow.
And there are a number of reasons why that is. Incomes have not really kept up with inflation.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's been a huge detriment. But the average person out there is trying to self-educate and self-motivate themselves. And, that's never really worked well.
You generally need some kind of a coach, right?
Yeah. Every year, people have their New Year's resolutions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're always the same. I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to save more money. But then you go to the gym in March and there's no one there, right? And people have a tendency not to have really followed through,
Mm-hmm.
on the things that they set out to do for themselves. So one of my favorite quotes, and that you had asked me to recommend a book at the end, which I'll do, and this is actually a quote from that book.
Okay.
It says that you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems.
It's a good quote.
And so everyone has great intentions. We set these goals. We want to, we want to make improvements in our life, but we really don't set the system up. We don't set the habits up.
It's true.
They're going to allow us to succeed. And so that's really what, everyone needs, is they need people and they need systems in place that are consistently improved upon.
I 100% agree with you. What kind of systems do you offer that you're able to provide that for your clients?
Well, we have a couple of different types of clients. We've got kind of the young adult type of client, and we just launched a 12-week course that's actually free to the public. We had over 1,200 people on it, even though we just started it 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
And so because of technology, we're able to reach out and educate and help people much easier, because it's so much more time effective to be able to do things because of the technology now. And so that's a system that we've got automated that helps people become more and more educated. It's a 12-week course, and people can go through that multiple times at their own speed. And so that, that education is really, really important. I think one of the first steps, though, is for people to take control. Many times they leave their financial future really up to someone else. And therefore they feel a lot more out of control, especially in a crisis like this, than they really need to. So one of the ways that you can take control is, now we don't call them budgets here, we call them spending plans.
Okay.
Right? Spending plans. It's a lot more fun to look at it. Oh, this is how I'm planning to spend my money, right? And the dreaded budget, right? But I was working with a young couple last week, and we were going through their spending plan. And I was saying to them, so they were about 30 years old, because I have this philosophy that no one really does anything until they know what it's worth. And so I showed them, I said, okay, so for every $100 that we free up here by reducing your expenses, in an average growth fund out at retirement, it's worth $300,000 to you.
Wow.
For every 100 we find.
Wow.
And then we went into, okay, a line by line item. We got to their cell phone bill. And we showed them how to reduce their cell phone bill by $160 a month.
Wow. Just money they were throwing away, essentially.
Exactly. And so when you start to go through line items, food, rent, electricity, right? There's a lot of information on the internet of different ways to save money on things. But we actually put together a think tank here in Anchorage of local people. And we're going through that to just kind of see, what does the average family of four spend on groceries in our community? And what is it that the average family uses in electricity every month? Because if you have something to measure it by, well, then you're going to be able to go, oh, I'm way out of bounds here, right? There's obviously something I don't know. Or you're going to be able to pat yourself on the back and say, in that one area, I'm actually pretty good, right?
Right.
And so, that's probably the first place that people should really take a look. Then the second thing that people really should do is calculate what we call their FIN number. That's their financial independence number. And that's the amount of money that you want to have on the day that you plan to make work an option.
Right. I remember when I saw my number and I was like, whoo,
It's a pretty big
it's
number,
a pretty
right?
big number.
Yeah. But then, when you break it down step by step, month by month, well, then it becomes not a scary thing, right?
Hmm.
And and then, again, the system for constant improvement. There's another great book that I highly recommend. It's called The Automatic Millionaire. And it just talks about leaving nothing to procrastination,
Hmm.
putting your systems in place where you're going to review your savings and investments are going to be automatic for you, which I think most people realize that their 401k has a balance in it
Hmm.
because it was done automatically for them,
Hmm.
right? It was kind of procrastination proof, right?
Right.
You only had to make the decision once, and
Hmm.
now it was done for you. And the same type of approach needs to be taken in emergency funds, where people are periodically putting money away, whether it's 100 a month or 200 a month, and then that has to be systematically increased so that you get better and better financially. You get more financially fit, just like you become more physically fit.
Right. Yeah, and I tell you what, it took me about a year before I finally got all of the systems put into place. But I'm still really excited to check out this 12-week program because I haven't even tried that out yet. So if you could send me that link, I would love for you to be able to share it with everyone who's going to watch this video, and we can email it out to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. I'd love to do that for you. Yeah.
What's your third recommendation?
Well, I really think that taking an assessment of where you're at now is really, really important, because when you feel out of control, that's kind of the first thing to do is sit down and say, okay, here's where I'm at. This is the money that I have coming in. Obviously, I've been talking with a lot of my clients that are on furlough or laid off. And so what are these sources of loans and unemployment, and how much money do we have coming in?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, uh, most of them have systematically been putting money in an emergency fund. So they're not at the same panic point where people that haven't been doing that are. Um, so that's kind of the first thing. And then the second thing I would say is, again, is leave nothing to chance. Make everything autopilot,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your bill pays autopilot, your annual review of your budget, autopilot, put that in your calendar, hit the repeat every year button. So you're going through and you're seeing additional ways that you can cut expenses. And then, of course, meeting with a person periodically. It's really difficult to go it alone.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are trying to do it by themselves.
No, I mean,
And
I 100% agree with you. I mean, when we first met, at least from a financial advisor standpoint, a couple years ago, I mean, I was the product of the normal 20-year-old in America swimming in debt and not seeing an end in sight, kept trying to do everything I could just to
right,
make paycheck to paycheck. And then, fast forward probably about a year ago, now, completely debt free, money going into my not necessarily 401k but retirement, and having my emergency fund. I mean, I'm staying at home, I'm still working obviously from home, but I have no worries about if I'm going to have my next commission or not because I've prepared myself for 6 months in my business account and 3 months in my personal account. So I'm good to go. And, I couldn't have done that without your help, initially getting me started and getting me on track. And now, like you said, I have my automatic deductions that came out. I actually pay myself a salary every month, not leaving it up to, paycheck to paycheck. and
that's
and
right.
so you know, and if you would have told me 2 years ago that this would be me now, I would have been like, no way, you know, and you had shown me my FIN number and I was meanwhile swimming in like $50,000 worth of debt. And I'm like, wait, I'm 50 in the hole and I've got to get, 3 million in the plus.
Right.
um, and so, it's real scary at first, but I would agree with you 100%, just sticking with those systems and putting those things in place, doing monthly budgets, looking at all those small fees coming out of your bank account. And I
That's
think,
right.
people are doing that right now
Yeah.
because of everything that's going on. But, I make it a point to do it every year now because it's amazing how often you just say, oh, $5.99 a month. Let me
Right.
sign up for that. Oh, $2.99 for this. Let me sign up for that.
Yeah.
And then, 6 months later, and you're like, I have $100 coming out for nothing.
That's right. I don't even know where it's going. Right.
Right. And so,
So yeah,
I go ahead.
You're exactly correct. It's that constant, and one of the things that just always made sense to me. Fortunately, growing up, I had some really good coaches in my life in athletics, and it really is the encouragement of one person saying to another, you can do this. You can do this. That is so important.
Yeah.
And then, remeasuring, learning new techniques. There's always something new. There's always new and improved in every industry. And
Right.
so learning new things, encouragement, remeasuring. I love it when clients come in here. Maybe I haven't seen them for a couple of years. They're supposed to do an annual review with me. But they come in and they go, oh, we're not doing very well, And so we sit down with them and remeasure. And their net worth was up 168,000 over the last 2 years since I saw them,
Right.
And they're like, they can't believe it. I said, well, you've been paying your debts down. Your investments have been growing. Your mortgage, you're paying that off. Your home value went up a little bit. It's in a lot of different places. Once we remeasure it, you're going to feel better. Right. And so, that's it's the personalized attention to detail. This is where you're at. And I love it when people leave and the couple has got their to-do list. These are the things that they need to do. And we put it in their calendar. And I've got some things on my to-do list for them. They've got some things on their to-do list for them. And together, we're going to go through the details and make the improvements. And because of that habit and that system of constantly improving, they're going to be much farther than if they don't have that. And so I guess that's why I'm still here after 35 years.
Yeah.
I just love seeing. In fact, I don't really have clients. I have friends that I help financially, right?
Right.
And that's why I could never imagine actually retiring, because I retired 35 years ago when I started doing this.
Yeah, you've hit your FIN number, right? You're just doing this because you love to help people, right?
Yeah. And now what is so exciting, and of course, Jocelyn, this is all 3 of my kids are now full-time in our firm, and they're growing and developing and getting licenses and helping their friends. And, just what a dream come true. I have to pinch myself sometimes that I'm just so grateful that timing was right for me. And I got out of the drug business. Right.
You better clarify what that is.
Yeah, I was a pharmacist. Remember at the beginning of the story, right?
Yeah.
Legally, I had a license. Yeah, I'm just so thankful that, someone came along in my life and showed me how I could have an occupational change. And I feel so thankful that I'm not in the health profession field anymore.
Oh, right.
Although, aren't we incredibly grateful for the job that they're doing now?
Mm-hmm.
is, I mean, just incredible, the stress and pressure that they're under in
Mm-hmm.
all facets of the health field. Um, we really owe a huge of gratitude to those individuals, and what they're doing for our society now, really holding things together. And just congratulations out to Alaskans, because we got on top of this and we really pulled together. We have flattened the curve uh, more than just about any other state in the United States. And so that has really helped them out, because if we hadn't have done that, we'd be in much, much worse shape than we are now.
No, I completely agree. I actually have a pharmacist friend, and they shipped her down to Seattle, and she had to be there, at point zero to help out, and had to be away from her family and everything like that. And, not saying you would still be a pharmacist in the business right now, but that could have happened to you. Instead, you're in the comfy of your own home and still helping people financially. But also bringing up the COVID situation, and our recent stocks and our oil prices. How do you see that that's having an effect on your clients financially or in you personally?
Well, of course, we're gonna have a difficult time. There's gonna be some pain in our economy here, because we're kind of getting, we're kind of really taking three hits here.
Mm-hmm.
First, of course, the virus hit. The oil impact is going to be tremendous. That's gonna have ramifications for a while, and then also the potential tourism. So, um, and that's why, tightening our belts now, looking at ways to preserve your the finances that you do have, cutting the outflows, I think is going to be really, really important. And I'm also advising people uh, to get, further your education. If you're in a particular field, right, now is the time, if you've got some extra time, to really get good at your craft.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've got to hand it to you for doing this broadcast and getting out there and really being, out front
Mm-hmm.
in what it is that you do, right? You have to have a constantly getting better at your profession type of attitude as well. And so that's why, my advice to people is that there's a lot of things out there that you don't control. And the farther out that you go, like when you look at what's happening in the world, you have less and less control
Mm-hmm.
with what's happening in the world. What's happening in the United States, whether it's New York or um, California, or you don't have very much control of what's happening in those states.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you look at Alaska, a little bit more control. Our community, a little bit more control. You can go and help out with different charities. You can do things that will make a difference in our community. And I highly recommend that people do that. And then you look at what's happening on your block, and you can meet your neighbors and help them. What's happening with your family, you definitely have more of an influence there.
Mm-hmm.
But really, when it comes down to what you control, you really only control two things. Number one is your attitude, how
Mm-hmm.
you approach things. And the second thing that you control is your activity, what it is that you actually do, your calendar, the things you put in it. And so getting those extra credentials, learning those Zoom, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
look at how much the country has changed
I know.
in just a short period. We're all learning all these video skills now,
Right.
right? And I even have my 90-year-old mother in northern Minnesota. I'm teaching her Zoom over. I bought her a smart TV so she can get all the grandchildren and children on there at once. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we all have to improve our skills,
Yeah.
right?
No, I 100% agree with you. One of my mentors, his name is Brian Buffini. He puts out a podcast every week. Right now he's doing two a week, because of everything that's going on, to give people advice about COVID. And he's mostly a real estate mentor, but he also does a lot about personal growth and just mental growth and mental well-being, and how you control your destiny, or how you set your goals. And I actually went and saw him in Seattle in January, you know, before all this happened, before we knew this was going to happen and everything like that. And he was just talking about elections, and he's like,
Right.
you know, does everyone know who they're voting for? And, you know, everyone's like, yeah, we know. He goes, good, don't watch a single political ad all year,
Right.
because there's no point in stressing about all this back and forth, because if you know who you're voting for, then that's it. And that's the kind of the same thing with the COVID. I've been trying to not watch about the protests that are going on, or not watch, you know, the he said, she said, or the people who don't think it's real, or the people who think it's real. It doesn't matter. You know what you know, and you should just immerse yourself in positive thinking, positive attitudes, and then making positive actions come from that.
Yes, you have to control what comes into your brain, right? Because it does affect your attitude. The spending a lot of time with all the negative news that comes out in the media, if you have a diet of that, of 2 and 3 and 4 or 5 hours a day, your stress level is going to go way up. All these things that you can't control. And so if you're turning those medias off, and you're instead putting things in, information of things that you can control, and you're working on self-improvement, you're guarding your attitude, right? You're looking at your calendar, you're being more effective with your time. Life's going to turn out a lot different, because you're being more critical with what's really happening with you and your family, and the things that are really, really important. And so turning off those negative things that you have no control over, that's just doing nothing for you except causing more stress. The things that are really, really important, you can get them in a very short period of time, right? People are going to bring the really important stuff to you.
Right.
So maybe you're tuning in 30 minutes of the stuff that's happening here locally, and things that you can do to help. That's much more productive. But you really only need about 30 minutes of that.
Right. Just getting
And then
the mandates and then getting out of there, like knowing what you can and can't do, and that's it, and then go about your day. And then I also think getting outside, we're all locked inside in our homes, and I have seen a lot more people out, especially, we're full-blown spring right now. It's beautiful outside. So just seeing more people out on the trails and getting out, it's amazing how much an hour a day of fresh air, just walking around, can improve your mood and your well-being. I was amazed at how little my steps are right now, just because I moved from my couch to my chair to my kitchen. There's not really much physical activity going into this. So I'm just trying to get out in an hour a day and walk around, just so you can get your steps in. I don't want to gain what they're calling the COVID-19, those 19 extra pounds from eating all day, because my kitchen's 5 steps away.
Right. Well, I have my CrossFit trainer zooming into me every day, right? Because I'm a firm believer of putting people and systems in place. And when Emily comes on at 4 o'clock, I'm there, right? Because she had permission to track me down, to call me and text me. Where are you, Fred? Right? And to measure my physical performance. And as you know, my lovely bride Carol decided for her 60th birthday that we would hike up to Everest Base Camp. What a goal, huh?
Right.
And so I knew if that was going to happen, right, well, we would have to make some changes. And so I learned long time ago that you want to burn your bridges.
Mhm.
And so we bought the tickets to fly to Nepal, right?
No, no turning back now.
On this date, right? Okay. And then you, right? And then you, okay, so now we're going. That's it. It's done, right?
Right.
So now everything starts to fall into place. Okay, well, 9 months from now, am I going to carry this 30 pounds up the trail, or am I going to leave it in Anchorage, right? And so, okay, so then we better join the gym. We better start the nutrition. We better put all these things in place. So we bought the nutritious food. We signed up for the gym. We gave people permission to call us
Mhm.
and tell us, where are you?
Right.
You can miss one day, but never two,
Yeah.
right? Never two.
Accountability, accountability is what keeps you going. I wouldn't be where I am today without a coach, financial coach like you, or I have a real estate coach, and I wouldn't be
Yeah,
doing what I'm doing without that, and having your goals set, at the beginning of the
sure.
year that you're going to accomplish, whether it be climbing up Everest in your 60s.
Which I highly recommend, by the way. It was
Yeah.
life-changing. Yeah. But yeah, so just like we don't call it a budget, we call it a spending plan.
Mhm.
Okay. Some people have a hard time with accountability.
Mhm.
So I just say, well, it's your ability to count.
Your ability to count. All right.
And if you have someone else help you with your ability to count,
Mhm.
right, along with a huge dose of encouragement,
Mhm.
okay, right? You can do it. This is where you're at now. Think of when you first started, where you were at.
Mhm.
Look at where you're at now.
Right.
Think of what you can be
Yeah.
6 months
Couple.
from now,
Yeah.
right? So it's that measurement, that ability to count with great encouragement, measuring. Those are all the great things that any kind of coach in sports or life does for you, right?
Mhm.
And finances is no different. Is no different at all, and it actually can become fun when you start to see things turning around and you're
Mhm.
measuring it and you're seeing it. Then it can be just it can be a lot of fun. And now with my clients that have been with me for years and years and years, going into the tax efficiency of harvesting money for their retirement and how do they go about doing that, it is really, I think, they're kind of out of the accumulation phase. Now they're really into the preservation
Mhm.
and harvesting phase of their life. And I mean, I love seeing their posts on Facebook on vacations they're on and grandkids that they're with,
Mhm.
because, in some small way, I had a part of that.
Mhm.
And that's that's just a lot of fun to realize and enjoy.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I got one more important question to ask before I go into my cutesy little questions I have.
Okay.
But could you share your investment philosophy?
Yeah. Well, long time ago, I said to people, um, I want to know you and what your goals and dreams and hopes and personality, your risk tolerance. I just need to know you really, really well. Okay. And
Mhm.
then we're going to use professional money managers to manage your money, right? And it's going to be people that are a lot smarter than me,
Mhm.
a lot more training than I have, because I really don't have time, nor do I want to be both your coach and manage your investments.
Mhm.
And some people have that set up that way. I think it's a mistake. I think they need to use professional money managers to do that. And so that's one of my investment philosophies is use the people that are on it 24/7 managing
Mhm.
money, right? They can be what's called strategic is a buy and hold philosophy, or they can be um, uh, more of a philosophy where they're going to change things. That's more tactical.
Okay.
Okay. And so those are the two really different investment philosophies. And then there's, of course, variations on those. So that's one of my philosophies. The other one is to diversify properly among those professionals. Okay. Um, and like a great tax person, it's worth their weight in gold
Sure.
to someone, especially if and when your situation becomes more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get rentals, you get, um, you know, you need corporations, you need trusts, you need things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important that you start out with maybe a simple tax prepare individual, but then as things become more sophisticated, you may need to change that individual
Mm-hmm.
depending on their credentials. And then my third philosophy is multiple income streams. I really think that's a super important thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you have one paycheck or two paychecks, that's simply not enough. You've got to have 3 and 4 and 5 and 7 or 8 income streams
Mm-hmm.
that are diversified from different areas. And if you have that, then it's going to be much safer for you than if you don't have that.
Right.
So that's my investment philosophies there.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is, like you're the tool bag and you've got all the tools inside and you're just needing to know which ones to give for the job.
Yeah, and we've I'm so grateful too for all the different resources that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for example, we have a think tank that our company pays a couple $100,000 to, um, for us just to call these people and ask them questions about retirement plans. So anything about 401ks or IRAs or Roth IRAs, 457s, 403bs, SEPs, simples, all these things, right? We don't have to be the expert. They're a phone call away.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll give us where it's in the tax code, the court cases that back up the tax code, everything that we need so that we can be 100% sure of the information that we're relying on for our clients. And so we have many, many strategic partners that supply different products and services for our clients. And again, it's just our distribution system really is very robust.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in fact, the CEO of Morningstar said something that, and many people may not know Morningstar, but if you've heard of a 4-star fund or 5-star fund, they're referring to Morningstar. They're the most prestigious and largest company in measuring funds, their performance, and so their CEO said that Primerica will be as disruptive to the financial industry as Amazon is, or to the retail industry.
Wow.
And that's because of all the companies that are on our platform now that provide all these different things that in some stage of someone's life they probably will need. And we've got a lot of companies vying to be on that platform.
Mm-hmm.
And so those strategic partners of ours are very important in supplying us with education and innovation so that we can bring that to our clients when it's appropriate.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, and what a great comment from a well-known company, and just shows, where Primerica is going and where they've been. I didn't know about Primerica until you introduced me to it a couple years ago. And same thing you said, they don't advertise, And so,
Yeah.
you know, general public just doesn't know, but I really feel like in the last couple of years, I've heard a lot more people talking about them. And I feel like they're doing a great job, just word of mouth or by referral, getting out there. And I think it's grown tremendously here, and it's going to continue to grow around the world.
Yeah, I'm very excited about all the help that we can bring people that need it the most,
Hmm.
you know, that need it the most. And yeah, what a great place to be.
Yeah, it definitely is. So before we button up here, could you let me know your favorite book, your favorite hobby, and your favorite movie?
Okay, wow. Well, my favorite book, the one I think the one I'm reading now is always my favorite,
Okay.
right? But yes, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Okay.
It's a
I'll
very good book. James Clear, Atomic Habits. It's on the New York Times bestseller list. It's just tremendous.
It's on my to read next, actually. I didn't even know you were going to be saying that, but someone else had recommended it to me, and I've got it on my next to read.
Yeah. Why we do all the things that we do. You know, we have these habits already formed. You know, we get up in the morning and this is the time I drink my coffee. This is the time I brush my teeth. This is the time right?
Hmm.
To go through and map that and then understand how to stack them and how to suppress the bad habits and make the learning good new productive habits easy,
Hmm.
really a key,
Yeah.
because those habits are what changes our lives,
Hmm.
makes life so much easier.
Well, yeah. Well, I tell you what, my financial wellness started from making my bed 2 years ago. I mean, that's what it was. It was my first good habit that I started doing as an adult. And, you know, just one small step that way. And every day I still get up and I make my bed and I've accomplished something and I go about my day.
Yeah.
But just small things like that really do add up.
And my favorite movie of all time is The Sting
The Sting.
with Robert Redford. And
Hmm.
uh, I watched that years and years ago, actually with my mother. And she's a pianist and used to play that song all the time. And so I learned to love that
When was
movie.
that movie from? Was that the 80s or the earlier than that?
Earlier than that, gee, I
Earlier
think
than that,
it
yeah.
was in the 1960s.
Wow, wow. Okay.
So,
I'll have
yeah,
to look that one up. I haven't seen it. It's before my time. And then let me guess, your favorite hobby would be fishing?
definitely fishing. I'm fishing full, right? And yeah, I just love it. I just had the opportunity to bring 150 pounds of red salmon fillets down to the soup kitchen, and that's a great place. And so sharing Alaska's bounty, you know, if you have a great hobby and it's something that produces something that you're able to share with others, well, I mean, that's just incredible. So,
It is.
yeah,
Yeah, I saw
def-
your post the other day, and you know, just one more great thing that you're doing. You're such an you and your entire family are such amazing people, and it was no surprise to me when the post said that you were giving away your salmon. You got to make room for your new shipment coming in, right?
I know you can't have a full freezer going into the fishing season.
All
That's
right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. You were my first Wednesday Wisdom, and I'm looking forward to doing many more of these. And hopefully, you'll come back and join me. Maybe we can talk more into the 12-week program. Please don't forget to send that to me. And if you want to just share your contact information for everyone to know, and then we'll get this wrapped up.
sure. My office number is 907-522-7378. And yeah, look forward to helping people. And we'll send out the link and you can share that with your friends and we'll all have a better financial future together.
Yeah, all right. It sounds great. Well, thank you so much, Fred. I'll talk to you
All
soon.
right. Thank you. Bye, Jocelyn.